Andrea's not here.
She had something to do.
Boy, I ran her off.
I'll tell her that you're disappointed.
Well, I mean, you said listen to the podcast. I did.
Yep.
You know, instrumental part of.
Yeah.
And it's somebody cute to look at while we're talking.
Well, and I mean, somebody's got to run the biz.
Somebody's got to run the business.
While you're here, I guess.
She's working. Yeah.
Good enough.
She hasn't been able to be here for a while, though. I don't know if she's losing interest or what. We'll talk to her about that. Yeah.
Impossible.
Bruce, welcome. I'll introduce you and tell our guests who you are and what we're talking about today. So I'm Dan Copeland, and I'm a co-host of Between Three Rivers, right? Between the Rivers?
That's right. Yeah. It's only been a year and a half, Dan.
with Billy
I knew
Corgid.
that much. I was listening this morning.
Right. With Billy Corgid. And we are here today with an extraordinary individual, a guy that I absolutely love talking with. His name is Bruce Dye. And Bruce, at some point, I'm going to have you tell us about how you wound up in Fort Wayne, because you're not a native of here and from here. And so we want to learn about that. But he had a company called Heritage Food Service and sold it a few years ago. Bruce also was he was the man to bring the hotelfitnessweb.com golf tournament here for 3 years in a row, one of the final championship events of the season for 3 years in a row. And he's recently written a book about one of his passions. And so that's Bruce. And so that's a little bit of a thumbnail about you, Bruce. And so welcome to the show. And let's get started. Should be fun.
Yeah, usually we start with like just an intro topic, work our way into the show and everything. So I was driving here, and I thought of you, with you being in, with selling fitness equipment and all these different things and different businesses and everything like that. How do you guys feel about fulfillment centers, with Amazons and everything popping up everywhere, and you reach on your phone and you can have something in a couple hours sometimes. And instead of, really coming from a hub, per se, is now coming from your city, each city.
Yeah, around the corner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, Bruce, what do you think about that?
I was a fulfillment center. We had inventory probably $10 million back in my last year was 2011. So the investment of something like that, and then watching Amazon come along, massive. There's 3 massive warehouses here in town. You can have it momentarily. It's whether, the parts were a unique commodity. Mm-hmm. So it'd be very difficult for somebody to do what we did. But like in the fitness equipment world, definitely you can put a treadmill in a warehouse. You can put elliptical in a warehouse, but you lose the ability to have the expertise, customer service. That's where there's a big mistake. My concern is returns.
Yep. And
I would assume 30% the proper return in the parts equipment world. I guarantee. I think listening to Chuck's story a while back, and he talks to somebody. They talk to everybody.
Yep.
We talk to everybody.
I love that.
We had 4 receptionists that answered the phone and then directed it to another, and they were in teams, and just like I think similar to Chuck's here at Sweetwater, maybe 8 in a group, and if number 1's busy, goes to number 2. Yep. Number 2's busy, goes to number 3. They're going to get somebody, or just by chance, you do get a voicemail. Well, you'll never get a voicemail. Go back to receptionist. However, if you tell somebody, I'm going to call you back. My first question was, when?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So they go, well, what do you mean when? I said, tell them when. Well, we don't know when. Okay, well, guesstimate reasonably.
Yeah.
So it would be, 30 minutes. Okay. Now, if 30 minutes comes along and you don't have an answer because you're dealing with Walt Disney World in Florida, Royal Caribbean, major hotels in Las Vegas, many other places, and everybody has a boss.
Yep.
So they're just trying to pass down the information. So it was funny we started in '86, And one of the flyers that we sent out as marketing was, does somebody tell you they're going to call you back and don't? And everybody's shaking their head yes. So they get this flyer. Well, we're not going to do that. And so they'd be laughing when they would call and go, how'd you know?
Right.
Well, I've lived that world.
Yep.
So the ability, so it would get down to so you told them 30 minutes. You call them back in 30 minutes and you say, I still don't have the answer. I'm relying on a manufacturer to give me some information. They're in California, it's 3 hours, or they're at lunch or whatever it may be. And so you call them back and say, okay, it'll be another hour. Or now I'm going to say maybe 2 hours. Mm-hmm. But again, if somebody asks them a question, when you're going to call them back, at least they can give you your answer back to them.
Right.
Okay, so eventually. So or many times you call them back in 30 minutes and they're laughing.
Yeah.
What are you laughing about? You actually called me back.
You actually called me.
Yeah, they weren't expecting that.
Yeah. And you may still give them, let's say, maybe 2 hours.
Right.
But at least you did what you told them. And then over time, then you became their expert
right.
on this particular commodity. And when you're the purchasing agent down at Disney, and we control the entire park, millions of dollars a year in sales, just because we've just become a part of them.
Right. You're trusted.
We're trusted.
Yeah.
Very much.
Bruce, tell us. We're talking about Heritage Food Service.
Yes.
Tell us about that company.
Started in 1987. I, like every other entrepreneur, at times you think you're better than the people you were working for, or you could do it better. Not that you were better, you could do it better. So I started with one other person in 1987. Have a little office in northern Fort Wayne, just talking to hotels, basically, at that particular point. And from 1987 until I sold it in 2011, we went from one employee to 350, 400, dealing all across the country.
Selling what?
Selling individual replacement parts for commercial cooking equipment. So it's the same thing as what you have at home: a range, stove, dishwasher. Those are all domestic appliances. Okay, we're basically talking about everything that's in every restaurant in the United States.
Wow. Wow. And all the parts, not the actual units.
Yeah, well, the people would. It's not. We actually the entire the company name officially was Heritage Food Service Equipment. We sold very little equipment. But if you just said Heritage Food Service, it really didn't tell them what it was at all.
Yeah.
So we had to add a little bit to it. So anyway, make a long story short, if you were to sell equipment, let's just use it as a school system for an example, you would sell them $100,000, or the food equipment dealers would sell a package for $100,000, and they might make 3, 4, 5 points on that, which is fine, but you had to wait. That's a very difficult sell. However, somebody's already sold the equipment. It's going to need parts down the road. So you could sell a $5,000 part and make almost as much money as somebody selling $100,000 worth of equipment. So I learned how to do that well.
So you were fairly young when you started that.
Started at 32.
Yeah.
And
how did you know to start that? What were you doing?
Well, if you go back to my college days, I graduated from UNC Chapel Hill in North Carolina, so I'm originally from Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I got married when I was a junior in college, so I needed a part-time job. So I went to work for a friend of mine's dad that had a small appliance business in the Carolinas. So it was Norelco shaver, Mr. Coffee maker, GE toaster ovens, all these basic stuff. And so all the companies that were selling those things, and then just say the early 70s, started getting into the commercial world. And so I figured out early on that it's just as easy to sell a $50 switch as a 50-cent switch, with the same margins.
So when you first started, I mean, you mentioned it was a small little, office and everything.
Yes.
Was it just you or a couple other people?
I brought, from the prior business, I brought one employee, one customer service person, hired a second one a couple months later, third one a couple months later than that. And it was interesting. Okay, if there's only two of us in the office and one's on the phone, somebody else better be answering the phone, which I would answer the phone also.
Right.
And so at about person number 3 or 4, let's just say they're on the phone, another call comes in, they handle that customer the day before. And so they'd ask for this particular individual. And so I said, well, she's busy. I'll be glad to help you. Well, she helped me yesterday, and she really sounded like she knew what she was doing, so I'll wait.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're like, you're on the phone with the owner.
You were in North Carolina, and somehow you wound up here.
Well, you got to be careful who you meet on spring break in Daytona.
Oh, what happened?
No, I just met my future wife.
Met somebody there.
And so we met in Florida. She was from Indiana, out Columbia City, not a lot far away.
Nice.
And so when I chose to leave the Carolinas, I said, hey, I want to do this type of business. I can do it anywhere. We might as well. She's the oldest. Well, my oldest daughter is the oldest of 28 grandkids of the family. So it was a great place to raise a family. So
that's great.
So it was just a matter of being able to say, okay, I can move this business. What I'm thinking of to do, I can do it anywhere. I can do it in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
So let's go to Fort Wayne.
And it's crossroads of America. So you're shipping. Were you shipping everything? Is that how? Would you call a warehouse and be like, hey, I need this?
No. I was proud of my UPS bill each week was back in that day, which is nothing to what they're probably paying here now, but $125,000 a week.
Yeah.
Per week.
So we were
just the UPS bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wow. That's wild.
so we were very engaged with both FedEx and UPS, but
right.
UPS was.
You probably knew Jake's dad
that,
and my
Bruce,
father-in-law.
When you started that, there was no. You didn't have anything online, right? You weren't selling anything online.
No.
So how did you attract business? Customers?
Basically, you could buy a list. I mean, Hyatt hotels were a huge customer, Marriott's huge customer, Holiday Inn's huge customer in that segment. All the cruise lines were a segment. I jokingly say we had a captive audience, which was pretty much every state prison in the country.
Wow. Once you're in one, I guess you're in all.
Well, no, you had to go on. You'd be part of a bidders group in each state. We also did federal prison, so and then hospitals all across the country, universities all across the country, and it was. Everybody thought it was more exciting to sell equipment. I had recognized that, if you need a switch, or you need a motor, or you need an element, you got to buy. We're the man.
Yeah.
We're the people.
Yeah.
Was it because of price, or you just knew where to find it and you were fastest?
Well, the first question is always, do you have it?
Yes.
The question was never how much.
Yeah.
And it was always funny with many of our newer employees. We're always bidding, quoting for. Let's say in state government, almost every state person has to get 3 bids. Okay, so in many cases, we would be one of 3. And even when we came to the one of one, you still had to be one of 3.
Right.
Which you just understand the purchasing requirements. And so, what was going to be my point? They would call up and say, okay, this part costs $2,000, whatever it is, a big motor for a dishwasher. And so the customer goes, oh, that's crazy, da-da-da-da-da. And I go, relax. Here's how this works. In the morning, they call availability. In the afternoon, they call back with a purchase order. They will threaten you every way but loose on why said, hey, why will we get it? Because we have it.
Yep.
I said, hey, no, we weren't. I mean, we pretty much always discounted some, but not much. I mean, you had to play the marketplace and play the game, but at the same time, we were providing a service.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so one of the things that
And they had to have it right
well, absolutely.
now.
I mean, well,
Yeah.
there were uprisings in prisons over food service.
Oh
I
yeah.
bet.
If you're going,
If it went down.
if you need to pay them three meals a day, and you know, the question was many times, do you have it? And the reason they asked, if you didn't have it, that might mean they had to go to a different menu, different piece of equipment to produce whatever they were doing. You know, so they had backup plans, but they relied on what you told them. And it was many times, this was classic also on price, well, Joe Blow says they have it, and it's this price. Well, then
Go ahead, go get it.
go buy it from them.
Yeah.
You know, I will never tell you, hey, cheapest price availability, buy it.
Yeah.
Then they call back the next day, cussing up a storm because Joe Blow didn't have the part.
Yeah.
They now don't have the part, and now they're having to call us back. You still got the part? Yep. Can you ship it today? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. What was the biggest like fire that you put out? Would it be the one like the prisons like going down for
I'm
not being able
sure.
to feed?
I mean, it was. I mean, one of the. I mean, maybe we'll talk more about numbers a little bit later, but in another segment part of this. But in 1987, we started in September. I sold 600,000. We sold $600,000 of the parts. In 2011, we sold 125 million.
Wow. Wow.
So that was an average sales order was like $250. We did it about 1,600 times a day, and just did it relentlessly.
Yeah. 1,600. Wow.
Yeah, in Fort Wayne.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So I don't, if I had to compete against an Amazon now, I mean, well, that's one of the reasons you have to do a roll up because, if somebody's it's in the purchasing, and one of these days they're going to buy enough of it that you're not going to be relevant.
Yeah. Right.
So it was just a timing. It was definitely not that I had to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the proud things of living in Fort Wayne, to build this business, and it never outgrew us, and never outgrew Fort Wayne. I didn't have to bring in new people. I mean, pretty much everybody came from Fort Wayne.
Yeah. I mean, you're shipping nationwide.
Oh, yeah.
You said Disney, all these different places. So
Oh, yeah. No, we were probably in all 50, definitely with all 50 states.
So,
I mean,
you sold it in 2011?
yes.
I didn't realize it was that long ago.
I know. It
Any
seems
idea-
like yesterday.
Any idea what the company's doing today? What it's like today?
Well, the only number I've heard, the roll-up is doing over $1 billion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
So they've continued to grow that thing.
oh yes,
Wow, that's amazing.
It'll be
And when you say roll up, I mean you're putting in multiple companies into one.
yes.
So how many companies are part of the roll up?
I'm not sure. I think 5 or 6.
Yeah.
At least now.
Right. Is that part of the? I mean, I know you had Hotel Fitness. You had, was it Brigadoon?
Well, after selling the main business, I acquired a golf cart rental business down in South Carolina, just Surfside Beach, which is right south of Myrtle Beach, and then created Brigadoon Fitness. People say, "Well, where did you come up with Brigadoon?" Okay, it's a housing addition that I live in.
Oh, there you go. Very creative.
So yeah, I mean, I have a few. I mean, I don't know the stories exactly, but I've been told, there's some literature of Brigadoon and this and that, and I said, well, I wish I could say it was that much.
Yeah.
That type of thing, but it wasn't. So
Nice. So yeah, that part of it. I mean, I read somewhere you did like 20,000 hotels you were in for. Is that correct?
we had at least. Well, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know what the segment. We had about 8 or 10 segments, basically.
Okay.
That was, of course, one of the big ones. We had probably over 50,000 active end user.
Wow.
I mean, the criteria for us to do business with somebody that did their own maintenance.
Yep.
Did their own what?
Maintenance.
Oh, maintenance.
So you had your own. I mean, like when you're just use a prison as an example. When you're trying to get, well, you can't get a truck worth of equipment, repair tools. Everything has to be inventoried in, everything inventoried out. It takes forever. So eventually, have their own staff, as well as the inmates are many times the technicians. They learn a craft there.
Yeah.
A trade.
That's nice though. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the ways we did business.
So you didn't go and if you had a hotel that bought a whole gym's worth of equipment, you didn't take it there, set it up, get it all running, or did you?
Well, okay, you're talking about two different things.
Okay.
Now, if you're now down in the fitness business, we hire people to do that.
Yeah.
But in the restaurant equipment world, all we did was just ship and
Okay.
take.
Got it.
We had 125 on-site customer service people
Yeah.
Wow.
that were working in teams. I mean, that was the main thing. I just told people, hey, if you become their expert, they're not going to go anywhere else. But you had to earn it every day. You couldn't, anytime you want to get fat and sassy, they'd slap you down. So you had to always, the key word is just be humble.
Yep.
Hey, work hard. The old adage of harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yep. Yep.
Those type thing. So
Yeah, that's huge.
So
okay, you had carts, fitness equipment, commercial parts.
They came behind. Afterwards.
Afterwards. So
Yeah, and it was just more of a. I was only 57, I think, when I sold the business, and it was somewhat of a mistake, because if you don't know what your purpose in life's going to be, after that, if that's what it's been for many years, then you got to develop one.
Yeah.
And that took a while.
Yeah. So around 57 is when you sold Heritage, or sold
Well,
the fitness as well?
No, we still have it. We're doing it today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're like, I got to keep working.
Well, I just crossed over 70 last November. So again, I'm still young enough to do it, but I got other people doing most of it these days.
Right.
And as we may chat a little bit, I have another hobby that I spend a fair amount of time with now.
Yeah.
As a challenge.
Yeah, we want to talk about that. But before we do, Bruce, before we go there, I brought the issue of Business People with you and Trevor Immelman on the cover from the web.com hotel fitness tournament that you financed and paid for and brought it here 3 years. Tell us about that experience, if you don't mind. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm a member and an owner of Sycamore Hills Golf Club here in Fort Wayne. So they came in 2013, 14, and 15, I believe. The 3 years prior to that, the USGA had come to us and asked us we had the junior PGA championships. So the guys that are now 20, well, back then, they would be high school kids, early college kids, as part of the PGA junior program. And so we did a good job for that. And then the PGA came to us in 2013 and said, hey, we got this idea. And it's now the Korn Ferry Tour. But it's gone through various names.
Right.
But that particular year, this was going to be the first year of a playoff. Very similar to the FedEx Cup for the regular PGA.
Right.
And so they asked the club to do it, because we have to donate the time and take it away from our members to bring them in. So we had to work through all that, but people kept asking, why would you even entertain it? And it was just guys like Trevor that he's a Masters champion. And that's the type of guys that are going to come here. Now, he may be a year or two later or older, and then you get new crop of kids, players coming every year. But so because the FedEx Cup was 1 through 125 ranking of players. And then the web.com at the time was 125 to 200, which included PGA players 126 to 200, but also then the top hotel fitness players. So I said, you know how many great players we're going to have for, hey, a regular tour event now, minimum, well, now it's minimum a whole lot more than the minimum then was like $8 million, probably
Right.
20 plus million now. I said, it still wasn't going to be cheap, but I said, it's going to be great exposure for Fort Wayne. Somebody asked me the other day, we were talking about it, he goes, well, that must have been great. You made all sorts of money. No.
It's a charity.
No, charity to a certain extent, but my idea of giving back.
Yeah, there you go.
And well, the purse was $1 million.
Okay.
Trevor got 180,000 of that at that time.
That's
I think
amazing for a young adult. That's a lot of cash.
Well, for a guy like him, as a step down. An average guy back then was probably making, if you were in the top 125, you're making probably 400,000 or 500,000.
Wow.
You know, but he wasn't in that pace then.
Right.
Years prior, so it got him back into the big show.
Yeah.
When in that tournament, he was back in the PGA.
See, that's what I hear about. Players like that trying to get into the professional league.
Yes.
It's a lot of money up front, and if you're not winning, your caddy's not making any money.
Well, luckily,
You're not
what they've
making
done
money.
now is the top five. If you're in the top 125, they're going to spot you $500,000.
Oh, okay.
Okay, which is supposed to hopefully help you survive
Right.
for that year, each year
Where does that money come from?
from the PGA.
From the PGA.
They finally,
Interesting. I didn't know that.
So otherwise, like I said, you could play every week, not make the cut. It was all gratis. It was all expense, not even gratis. It was just expense to you. And so, that took many years to happen. But with web.com, the other part was to me a pretty neat thing is the Golf Channel promoted it and broadcasted 2 hours each day
Wow.
worldwide,
Fort Wayne.
180 countries.
That's cool.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And that was about another 450,000
Yeah.
for the
Broadcast
rights and stuff. So it cost me about minimum of $1.5 million
each
each year.
How many years you do it?
3.
3 years. Yeah, that's really cool. though.
So major corporations that have advertising budgets and whatever, it was at that particular time I'd already sold the business. And it was just give back.
Right.
Well, we had the fitness business, but it wasn't. That wasn't what was covering the cost.
Right.
We didn't sell a whole lot more fitness. Now, I didn't use it like I probably should have. We could have done better. I don't think it still wouldn't have paid for itself, but I didn't really look at it as a means to sell equipment. Mm-hmm. Because it's more of a local type of thing to do. We're doing a lot of stuff nationwide now, but then not quite. So
Yeah. You don't think it, I guess, catapulted it to the level that it's at now?
no,
Yeah. Yeah.
no. So again, it was just a great. Sycamore Hills is a great asset for this community.
Yeah.
Would you
That's a
ever
hard course.
consider doing it again?
Well, just the price.
The price is way up now.
It's just difficult. It's hard on the club.
Sure.
So if I had a whole lot more partners, yeah, definitely.
And if the PGA were like, hey, I'll give you some of that money. Talking about golf, how do you feel about this whole live? Do we go there?
I know, yeah, we can go there. No, it's interesting. I was just my son lives in Cincinnati. I was at a wedding this weekend, and his next door neighbor is a transplant from Kendallville, Indiana,
Okay.
down in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And she played high school golf a year after my oldest daughter. So she graduated from East Noble in like 2001, we'll just say, somewhere in that game. And she's now the club president. And so one of my son's buddies was there and wearing a live hat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know the connection at all at that particular time or any background. I hadn't met her yet, really, who she was and where she's at, because she She goes, well, you're from Fort Wayne. I said, yeah. She goes, I'm from Kendallville. I said, oh.
Nice.
And so then we started who knew who and what and the type of stuff. But she eventually came out that she's now the current club president of one of the bigger courses in Cincinnati. And before I even knew anything about it, I mean, she was anti-live completely.
Yeah.
I mean, what PGA course in the country is not going to be pro-live?
Right.
And so as she was explaining it to somebody else, I mean, I totally understood
right.
where she was coming from and why. But then at the same time, if you get out of the politics, which of course a lot of it is politics, how it all evolved, the product isn't the PGA in any way, but it's a party, and so the youth, the young people are more the who they're going after, which is fine.
Right.
But the challenge for golf in general is that, it's the world. There was I'm going to go entire different direction for a moment. There was 3 people in business that I respected totally, say, in the 2000s. One was Tiger Woods, one was the New York Yankees, and one was the New England Patriots. Why would you pick those? Tiger was playing the world every week. Mm-hmm. You're going up against the world every week. New York Yankees, you're playing a World Series for every team you play the whole season.
Yep.
And then 3 at the time is the Patriots, and you're playing the World Series the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Every week.
Yeah, because you're getting there,
and that's draining.
Yeah.
But that was similar to, in my humble little world, that's what my business was doing. Okay, we're fighting a battle,
competing every
day, and so if you don't bring your A game every day, so just trying to teach a lifestyle that if you just do the simple things, you don't have to have the best talent, you don't have the best idea, you just got to execute consistently. As long as you do that most of the time, you're going to end up on top a lot.
Well, in business, you are a coach. As an owner, you're the coach of all those customer service, telling them, hey, call them back.
Yep.
30 minutes, hour, as long as you call them back, right?
The old, hey, you practice with the way you play.
Yeah.
And again, it'll be another thing we must talk about a little bit, but and my other endeavors. But it's just, everything. There's no new rules or new strategies. It's just executing. Hey, we got more technology, we got more information. End of the day, you still got to, in many cases, answer the phone.
Absolutely.
Give good feedback, give good information, and that's what it's getting lost.
Right, it is getting lost.
And it's going to get scary.
Yeah.
The further along, when you see Kohl's that takes all the Amazon returns or whomever takes whose returns, whatever. It's massive. And then don't worry about. Just think about what margins must be in there or what expenses. If you just say, man, don't worry, hey, just don't pay the bill.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't send it back and don't pay the bill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep it. We'll send you another one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said that's in the world that I came from, that's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're gonna put, so what are you doing, or where something's gonna blow up eventually?
That's
in the system.
Right.
It
happens all the time. Though. You keep it. You're like, oh, they don't even want it back.
It's already blowing up in the system. Because I don't know. I can't quote how many bankruptcies there are in retail. Quite a few, and more to come because it's just
brick and mortar is just like gone.
If somebody like a Macy's is trying to compete against Amazon, and you just can't do it over time.
Speaking of that, Bruce, one of the things I see is that Walmart seems to compete pretty well with Amazon. They've stepped up their game technologically very well, and including their Sam's Club stores. Do you know anything about that part of the business world? What's going on
like the e-commerce side of it, almost even too
on the e-commerce side?
Well, I think more of the case what they've been able to do. You just got to fight fire with fire. Now, we all, Hey, you could. I mean, I'm one. Okay, let's just use the local Kroger's. Maybe I don't know,
There you go.
plugging them or not. But okay, you can walk in, pick up whatever you want, and leave. Or, as my daughters do, order all online. I wouldn't order anything online. Well, I order a few things online. I wouldn't order my groceries online.
No, yeah, bananas
Yeah.
online.
Yes, I mean, so whatever reason, I mean, small kids and just a different generation that has different thoughts. You know, so watch it unfold. I mean, I can't see. Okay, if there's only a few pennies allegedly on profit per dollar of food service, and you're giving away delivery, how can you do that?
Right. Your food's just going to go up.
Yeah, I mean,
The price of food's going up.
the cost of
Yeah.
the truck, the cost of the employee. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Maybe that's why our eggs are $12 or whatever.
Well, I think part of the egg problem is the bird flu, but
Yeah,
there's
right.
more, there's definitely more to it.
Right.
But that's so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, you alluded to your current passion. And so I brought along
I don't know about passion. I'll call it challenge.
challenge.
Nice.
And so I brought along a book that Bruce's book. It's called Beyond the Book, and Bruce wrote it and published it. And so it's about. I'll let you tell us what it's about.
Well, it's basically about so the game is Blackjack. It's something that I didn't get involved in until after I sold the business. I mean, I did it recreationally. We'd go to Vegas for a conference and, spend a little time there or whatever. Did it for 20 years. Back in the day, we would, when the riverboats first came to Indiana, we'd drive up near Chicago and Michael Jordan be across the table on another table, not playing with my table, but would be at another table. So it was just the background of where it all came from, not that background of Blackjack in the state.
Yeah.
As it started to grow many years ago. And so we'd drive up there, play, drive home, maybe once or twice a week, or once a couple of times a month. That was running my business back then. So I didn't spend that much time at the casino.
Right.
But anyway, as I sold the business, and it became more of a challenge to, as the book will say, a game that cannot be beat, but you can win money. But that's still a challenge day by day. So I do it so 2011 comes along. I start playing more in 2013, 14 maybe. Well, then COVID comes along. So there was a 3-month period where all I did was practice.
Right.
It was everything. I was in Hard Rock Casino in Tampa, Florida, the very last day any casino was open in the United States. And they said, well, we're closing. They initially thought that the Indian tribe could stay open no matter what. Well, they found out the United States didn't think so. So, so everybody shut down. So there was always a time, if you ever played the game at all, that you'd think you couldn't lose 10 in a row, 10 hands in a row. That's impossible. Well, anything's possible. So anyway, well, at least you think anything's possible. So at one time in part of the book was I thought they could have a hand in, it may not be fair or even, I'll just say cheating. I mean, not a good term, but I in my practice time, anything that I thought was cheating for a while, I could do to myself. Actually just deal them out to myself.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, that clears
As
that
a
up.
dealer, yeah.
Yeah, I cleared it up. The game's fair. Now I understand that. So then it just became, okay, how do you, if you understand the numbers, and even though it's a random game, there's 312 cards in 6 decks. They always cut 2 decks, so it's 108 cards. So you end up with 204 or 212 that you're going to use over and over and over. So the patterns start to, you can see certain things. It's still random. You never know when they're going to happen. So in 2023, I had a pretty good year playing. And I had you hear things about systems and I'll challenge a lot of systems, but I had a way of play that was pretty consistent in winning. And so I get a hold of a buddy of mine that had worked with me in the past, and I go, we need to write this down. If something happens to me, after all this time and effort I put into this thing, I just want it recorded. So basically the story of 22, actually 2022 and 23, of just, playing a certain way. There's a lot of recording. I mean, it's really just taking I treat it as a business.
Right.
So you got to practice at it. You have to have a decent idea of what you're doing. You got to have a little bit of luck. But more of it's just a system that hopefully with the book I want to introduce it. I want to create some, with lack of groups maybe, just to learn how to play together. It'll still be separate, but help each other. Because these $1 billion buildings that are casinos weren't built necessarily on people winning.
That's right.
And so again, if people are going to do it I believe that you could, if you had reasonable expectations and modest goals, you could supplement an income.
Yeah.
If again, there's still enough challenges of addiction, various other things that are very important. I'm never going to promote anything that I'm intentionally trying to get anybody in trouble.
Right.
So you almost got to qualify everybody that you deal with, or say, okay, if you're already playing, I'm not causing you to play.
Right.
I don't want to start you to play. I'm more, trying to work with people that are already doing it.
So tell me this: does it take practice to get it right, or
it's like anything. Just like in business in general, you got to practice what you do each day, and over the years you get better.
Yeah. So your book's all about experiences that you've had, right? And then also more of like when I think of Blackjack, you get that little cheat sheet.
Yeah.
That
hit
on this, stay on this.
There's the biggest. But by the name, it's beyond the book. What is the book? The book is basic strategy.
Right.
That's what it's referred to in the vernacular in a casino. Okay, well, what does the book? What does this book say?
What's the book say? Yeah.
What's basic strategy say?
Right.
And so basically, my what I've changed in all of it is pretty much basic strategy is half right.
There you go.
So the other the half that I don't agree with is the hands you put out there. So it's double downs and splits.
Mm-hmm.
As I only do a fraction of what they do. And basically, in my world, it is if they allow you to do it, it's probably not in your best interest.
Right. Right.
And
That's
they'll
true.
let you put that card on the table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And every dealer in the country will give the player advice.
Yeah.
Yep.
The player will look up what should I do. The book says. I don't quote the book.
Yeah.
We have what we call a modified player's guide.
There you go.
Which is basically the little card, same thing, but there's even more to that, because the key to Blackjack is to know when to get up.
Yep.
The only advantage that a player has totally is you can change your bet. You can bet $5, you can bet $25, you can bet $50, bet whatever. But the casino cannot get up. They got to bet what you bet.
Mm-hmm.
And when they can't leave. They're going to be there 24/7 doing whatever they're doing. So if you get up, if you started with $50 and you get to $200, and if you increase your bankroll about 4 times,
Right.
that's a pretty good day.
You should move.
Leave.
Yes, leave the table.
Most people don't leave.
Yeah.
They have unreasonable expectations, and then the next thing they know, they've lost all the money they won,
Right.
and then they've given away another. What a great business that, hey, I had fun losing $500.
Right. No kidding. No kidding.
So Bruce, so your book called Beyond the Book is available on Amazon.
Yep.
Is it available elsewhere?
Nope.
Okay. So on Amazon, Beyond the Book, if you're interested and you want to get the book, that's where you can get it. But your system is, I play, and I've been trying to use your system. And honestly, it worked. I can tell you, it worked the last couple
Well,
times.
we're going to be modifying some of it, but go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that.
Yeah. So my question though is, when can you play at a table that's full of other people who are playing it by the book, and still make this system work for you?
We're still, it was built more around my type of play, which is by myself, one
Yes.
person at a table.
Yes.
I easily can come up with a system for 2, at
Okay.
most 3.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Would you have
uh,
to know all 3 of them? Would all 3 have to be doing the system?
Well, part of what we're going, if we create a little society, so to speak, is, I mean, anything can be negotiated at the table beforehand. So, I mean, like I play a reserve table always.
Yes. By
Okay,
yourself.
By myself. But if you're with me, and Bill, you're with me,
right.
Jake, if you were with me, then you could play at my table whatever rules we sort of come up with.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
so I'm respectful of what the casino wants, but at the same time, they always look at me and basically, Bruce, it's your table. You know, now it's my table under certain requirements, but
Yeah. Within reason.
within reason. So,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it easily, yeah. So I mean, it's really something we got to spend some time on, and I'd almost call that data management, just understanding how to do it. So I could easily do it myself. I can sit home and deal, 2 hands,
Right.
and record the results of each one.
My blackjack story is I was at my brother's bachelor party in Vegas, and we're just having fun. We went to one of the casinos that are like outside, almost like inside outside, and we're all just having fun and everything like that. And I know how to play blackjack. A lot of the other guys don't. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna change it. I'm not gonna go by the book.
Okay.
And I was splitting. I was doing things that are irregular, but I was winning. It was crazy. Like everyone's looking at me like, "You're nuts. You're nuts." And I'm like, "Well, sometimes the book's not right." And so it is interesting that this is happening. Now, my question is, you mentioned it's the casino. Like you have to know the casino. They say this is your table and everything like that. Is there, like I've seen those movies like 21 or Hangover and all these different movies where like they get in trouble because they think they're counting cards.
Right. Okay, well, first off, I'm a firm believer you cannot count cards. So we'll start there. If you understood, and I've never been able to, I mean, I understand the game almost as good as anyone, I would believe. And to this logistics of it, just say when MIT players, going in and winning millions of dollars. Okay, if they just say you won 100,000 and they paid you, and you're hiding your identity,
Right.
well, it's kind of hard to even carry out 100,000, 10 bricks of 10,000 at a time. Where do you put it?
Right.
Who are they going to give it to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and now with what's called the Patriot Act, and all the reporting that banks have to do and the casinos. I mean, hell, even now, the casinos, if you were to go play and say, I want to play 100,000, you're going to have to prove to them where your money came from.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, you got to prove, hey, here's my business.
Yep.
Here's my bank account, all this stuff. So all these stories are just great stories. They're
Right.
great movies. The logistics of it are impossible.
Yeah,
In my humble opinion.
Yeah.
And
Ocean's 11, they're coming in with their suitcases and yeah.
no, I mean, you're not. Now, I'm not going to say that in some case they did. That could have happened,
Yeah.
potentially. But
now you're like, yeah, you
it's
don't see that.
not now and never. I mean, just logistics of we're going to have a scout, we're going to have a player, we're going to have 2 on the team, all doing certain things. Okay, well, the hand that they're watching and waiting for a particular time to happen so they can pounce on this opportunity,
Right.
and they're going to be there for hours when the shoe, which is the 40 hands that I talked about earlier, take maybe 15 minutes total.
Mm-hmm.
I said, it just doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, I do it. But again, good.
So now Dan was telling me you're when you get these, a group together and everything like that, and you can train them at a facility, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, well, whether I'm not sure. Hey, I think we're going to have an event soon, and I may end up just saying, "Hey, come to the house."
Yeah, there you go.
We'll start there in the basement and just see what goes on. I mean, we'll see that. I mean, eventually you can start little clubs where people can meet. Just so, I mean, I just want to make it a fair fight.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to walk in there, I don't want you walking in unknowing what you're going to see. I can duplicate one of there's a jillion podcasts or ways to online. One of them being what they call advantage play, which is normally code for a counter.
Right. Right.
and you'll listen to these. Well, I played 500 hours. I had a 500-hour losing streak.
Oh, jeez. Jeez.
Yikes.
I'm just so you're broke.
yeah. Or 700 hours and maybe I broke even. I'm going, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I said, no, I mean, so there's a whole, it's still a game. I treat it as a game, but it's real business. They treat it as real business. So it's just something that if we can help people, when most people go up there just to have a good time, but they plan on winning.
Right.
Or they would like to win.
Right.
But they won't get up. So going to teach them disciplines.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I mean, I had very positive results in 22 and 23. The book basically, I mean, we don't get into the numbers, but it was, I think one of the things I measured was like 43 out of 44 times, a certain way
that you won.
that we won. And the interesting thing is what we were talking about earlier. Things I know through practice that you wouldn't know if you didn't practice is that you can win. Let's just say you were happy and you won $6,000. Mm-hmm. You played everything the wrong way, but you won $6,000.
Right.
Okay, you play everything the wrong way the next time and lose $7,000.
Yep.
Doing everything the same way.
Yep.
And you won't believe it until you do it to yourself. So I mean, I was practice and win 10,000. And maybe do it 2 or 3 times. And then whammo, lose 20,000.
Wow. Yeah.
But and then actually know that can happen in real play.
Right.
So again, it's not the safest game in the world.
Right. Yeah.
not the safest business in the world.
Well, let me ask you this question though, because most of us, we're not going to reserve a table just for an individual. Mm-hmm. Most of us are not at that level, right?
Well, hopefully part of the plan will be that I can negotiate things for people that, under these parameters. Okay, on your own, no.
Okay,
with my help,
you would have to be involved.
Well, with my help, but ultimately I can teach you how to do it. I mean, you can negotiate for yourself.
Yep.
You just got to understand, what you're capable of doing.
Sure.
I mean, whatever I'm doing, anybody can do.
Yes.
With the right parameters.
Yeah. So you have to learn.
So just being able to, whether it's the size of the bet, the amount of money you're going to bring, the amount of people you might bring, the time of day of the casino. I mean, a lot of casinos, they're dead.
Right.
They'll take any action.
Right.
I mean, in their mind, in which I agree with mostly, hey, we just want people to play. We're going to win the casino.
The more they play, the more money they win.
They accept the challenge.
Yeah.
They know the math. I mean, I know the math that allegedly it's in their favor. It isn't, not allegedly, it is in their favor. However, I've had some decent success, and I just, if nothing else, I want other people to come play it my way and make your own choices and your own decisions. I'm going to show you how to do it.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be up to you.
I like it as a community level too. I like that you're bringing groups together and
Well, the key, I mean, what a lonely game.
right.
I mean, a game that you're going to get stomped.
Yeah.
So at least if you're going to get stomped, you got others. But a lot of times you're getting stomped because you don't know. And now through accountability with your buddies and with yourself, okay, hey, what's our goal? What's our what did our practice say? What's our math say? Our results over 90 days or 6 months or a year?
Yeah.
Whatever.
And you're working as a team. That's good.
You're still playing it. I mean, that was the other thing that I couldn't quite understand. Let's just say you were lucky enough to win. Allegedly, as these people won millions of dollars, who's paying the taxes?
Yeah.
Who's declaring the income?
Right.
And I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah.
So simple questions that the end of the story would be, there are no answers.
I'll tell you what, I got a podcast title today. It's going to be how to win in business and blackjack.
Yeah. So you've do you continue to tweak your system, or have you kind of nailed it?
No, I continue to tweak it. I continue. I mean, it's a challenging game. I mean, well, it was always interesting. Sort of going back to the heritage days.
Yeah.
You win. Okay, I know the answers. I could tell, but somebody, unless they're doing it, they don't believe it, or they won't believe that I'm telling somebody else the answers, so that I don't have to do it anymore. So hopefully over time, I can teach others what it can be critiqued. I mean, the good news is you can do it relatively inexpensively.
Yep.
Especially if it's my table, so to speak. And I mean, because what I want to be able to do is take local casinos, go practice real,
Right.
for the same money you were willing to spend anyway.
Yep.
Just do it a little more smartly.
Well, I can attest to it. I'm a witness. I've seen it. We've done it together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It works.
No, the casinos know there's total respect on what my challenge to them
Yeah,
is.
you're just a competitor. You're just
hey, they expect to win.
yeah.
So going forward, building the business idea around your system, how do you see this unfolding? What do you see a year from now, 2 years from now? What would you like that business to look like, besides the fact that you can go and win?
Well, I mean, if let's just say you were an individual that could make an extra $500 a week by playing a couple of hours. Okay, that's $25,000 a year extra income with hopefully not very much risk. Now you extrapolate out those numbers, and if it's $1,000 a week or something that you could prove to yourself first. I mean, hey, if you can't prove it to yourself first at home, don't do it.
Right.
If you can't, if you come to the group play and you don't see it and experience it, don't do it.
Right.
I mean, there's no sleight of hand.
Yeah.
I have, the good news is I have no reason to try to, I mean, I'm not in any way part of any casino group. Nobody's paying me for doing anything. They a lot of times they pay me to show up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that shows you how confident they are that they're going to win. And so it's just, I mean, it's been a game that's been around for a long time that millions play.
Yeah.
I just, in just sort of my parts business days, where many naysayers, well, you can't do that in Fort Wayne. You can't do this or that.
Right.
I said, well, never say never.
So is there something within this new venture, or even in the past, or your businesses and everything, is there anything that you would have done differently?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think that one of our past presidents made a mistake by not wanting to change anything differently,
Right,
or wouldn't have done anything differently. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say, yeah, I'm not sure. There's nothing right off the top of my head. Insisting on, just like in the blackjack world, insisting on practice. Most people don't want to practice.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
I had a debate or a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he goes, well, I went down to Cincinnati and I did this, and this. We talked a little bit about the results. And I go, okay, I got to ask you one more question. Did you follow instructions, which is the book?
Mm-hmm.
You know, basic stuff. Well, I did this a little bit. Okay, when you if you didn't follow instructions,
Right.
I don't take any responsibility.
Yeah. Stick to the manual.
Stick to the manual. You practice. Always know, hey, anything can change, but over time, part of it, again, going back to the group, if you can work, you have other people to hold you accountable and give you. I mean, it's a lonely sport.
Right.
Very lonely. I mean, when you're playing something that you basically going to get beat all the time, or could be beat all the time, or most of the time, that's not fun.
Yeah.
You know, but we keep trying. And so I've just finally, and over the years, and especially after, I mean, that was one of the positives of COVID. I never practiced myself.
Right.
I would just do what everybody else did. I sat down and said, okay, let's just see how this game works. Did it, saw it, and then said, okay, well, and one last thing on the book, the decisions. I know I record every session for the last 8 years. Every time I go play anywhere, what I bet, what time of day, where, da-da-da. Dan's seen it. And one of the notes I would make many times, if I had won my double downs and splits and my fair of blackjacks, I would have won.
Right.
Okay, if you write that enough times, then there's, okay, well, you might want to quit doubling and splitting so much.
Yeah. Right.
And so then I instituted those changes, started to watch the results, and the results got better.
Nice.
You know,
Nice.
And again, anybody, hey, I mean, I challenge people all the time. I mean, we have all the, you know, I have not thousands of decks, but I mean, I have 6 decks of, I have supplies. Part of the working with the group is you'll get 6 decks of cards. You'll get a tray or a discard tray, so you can have it like the casino does. You know, you'll have stuff to record so that you can just see what happens. Mm-hmm. And so I hope, you know, success for those people.
Yeah.
And again, it helps you, you know, getting to know more people.
Yep.
That certainly doesn't hurt. I mean, with some of the groups and people that I've met, I mean, there's a lot of very competitive, intense, intelligent people playing the game.
Well, and that's the way I was kind of viewing it as you were talking about. It's like entrepreneurship with you. You know, it can get lonely, it can get difficult, but if you stick to your routine, you may have those times where things don't go your way, but if you stick to your routine and stick to the manual, you're gonna find benefits. You're gonna win.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Bruce, I think this was great.
It's very exciting. This Beyond the book. Beyond the book. Pick it up on Amazon. You'll be glad you did.
We'll link it in here, man, and we appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
this was really fun.
Appreciate it.
Anything else you want to add to it?
No, I'm good. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, this was fun.
So
you also get a little Sasquatch tea here. We our sponsor. So if you like tea,
okay,
take one of these home with you. They got all types of different brands, and Jake's got the Yellowstone Gold.
Okay.
So that's for you.
Thank you. All right.
Local guys and Tittman family. One of the co-founders is so.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it a lot. Yeah.